and it was a $75,000 contract. I didn't care. I would have rode for free.
He is making a lot of it. Look at him stumbling here.
Basically, the company went bust, top and bottom, before the first round of the championship.
At one stage, I bought a Bugatti.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't really.
What's up, everyone? Dean Wilson here. Here we are, episode 2. We have the boys, Tommy Searle, Billy Bolt, and we're going to get right into it. So, Billy, what's happening? You're still in your car. How's things, boys?
Yeah, I'm on the move. All things kind of going on. Like I mentioned last week, we got quite a busy couple of months coming up. So bikes getting delivered everywhere, trying to get some riding in. It's actually, I'm in Spain still at the moment. It's raining, which is making life even more difficult. But other than that, all good. Had a bit of a controversial weekend, but in terms of purely looking at World Championship points, I took the most out of anybody. So all in all, positive weekend, and yeah, on to the next, really. What about Tom? How's things?
Champion.
Champ is here. The champ is here.
Hey!
No, I raced the British Championship final round. It wasn't easy, actually. I had a wheel breakup on the first race, so it was all a bit hectic, a bit nerve-wracking, unneeded drama, but we got it done. It actually has been really nice.
How many points did you have there at the last moto? Because you broke your wheel the first moto. You had a big points gap. What did you say, 9 points going into Moto 2?
Yeah, 29 going into the weekend. And then I've obviously been going in my head what I can do, where I could finish if he won. And then clearly none of that.
I think you had to go
off.
that far into detail. And I mean, it was quite a big points gap, mate.
No, I know.
Trying
but
to
I
be
don't
gone in
know.
one goes a lot, though. Like just all of a sudden, boom, 20 missing. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
right?
Yeah, 9 points going into the final round. Not comfortable.
No.
But I actually was more chilled going into the second race because I thought I would have won it in the position that I was in race 1. And then the wheel broke up and I was still trying to get round to the finish of the lap. But then there was a final hill and it completely collapsed about 10 seconds before I could get into the pit box. Had I been able to get into the pit box, probably could have changed the wheel, got a few points. But anyways, lost 20 points, had 9 going into the last race.
That's that old age, mate. That's that old age starting to think about your bike more than your racing. I've been there.
Yeah, it is.
I've been there.
It is.
Yeah. When
What
you're
about
young,
Vegas?
you don't even care. Vegas was, oh man, I tell you what, it went well. I did exactly what I wanted to do. But it was tough.
How much money did you make?
Overall made about 38 grand. So it was good.
It's more than
good,
me.
And a
but
kick in the teeth in it?
More than my British Championship.
It was good. It was exactly how I wanted it to go, as in position-wise. Literally just kind of hopped in and raced it, no prep or nothing, but the knee was sore, really sore. It's 2 20-minute motos, so after the first moto, I was in so much pain, right? I'm scrambling. I'm like, I need to find Doc G. Doc G taped up my knee, gave it a good tape job, and then I got a turret all shot. It went well, just exactly kind of what I wanted to do, made what I wanted to. And all is good. So, yeah, good weekend for all the boys, I'd say.
How many points is yours up, Bill, now? Like, what have you got gap-wise to the championship?
12, I think. 12 or
And then
13. But we
How many
have...
points from first to second?
It's 3, but we have there's 3 rounds left of the championship. Is that right? 1? Yeah, 3 rounds left of the championship, but 2 of them are multi-day races where we have 10 points for day 1, or like effectively you can score, I think, 43 points a weekend rather than just 20. Like I say, it's going good. I had a terrible second round in America. It's my own fault. I'm really kind of in this hole points-wise, which is a bit annoying because like we both won 2 races each at this point. But yeah, 3 races to go. I think just happy really more than anything to be back in the mix and back fighting, because it's been quite a long time while I've been kind of a bit missing in the outdoor scene. Obviously indoors has gone well most winters, but it's had a lot of injuries which have ruined outdoor championships. So it's just nice to be back in the mix more than anything.
All right, so our main topic today is sponsorships, contracts, big paydays, dumb purchases we've made. It's actually pretty interesting because I think a lot of fans don't really see the contract side of things or some of the rules that we have to follow by. Or we'll start off with Billy. Billy, let's talk about your first ever contract. What's the ins and outs? How was it?
Well, my first the legit first ever contract I ever signed was an absolute disaster, to be honest. And it was back when I was riding trials. I did have a contract with a brand to ride for them. It wasn't for any money, but it was just to have a bike kind of provided at all rounds of the World Championship and stuff. So I remember signing it, being like so buzzing, thinking like it's the first time I've ever signed my signature on something, and like thinking, no, this is all like, this is legit. I've made it now. And then they basically the company went bust, top and bottom before the first round of the championship. So then that never ended up happening, which was kind of in some ways a blessing, because it was kind of the end of my trials career, at least started the end of my trials career, and then dived into enduro, and then did enduro as a hobby rider, just as a privateer for 1 year, and then signed with Factory Husqvarna after 1 year of racing enduro, which again was just like pretty wild. I remember the first deal I had, I think I got 28,000 euros for the year, and I had to pay my travel to get to the races out of that, and training expenses and everything. So there wasn't much left at the end of it, but still at the time, like, I knew no better.
To not give specific details, because what maybe some fans don't know, we're actually not allowed to tell what we're making on our contracts. But ballpark, top level off-road guy, what's the ballpark that like you'd make?
He is making a lot. Look at him stumbling here.
I-
He's like, I
Well,
can't tell
I
him how
consider
much.
myself
He's
a
trying to-
Gotta
YouTuber,
play this
actually, not an
man.
off-road rider.
Got to
This
play
is a
this
terrible
character.
subject. This is a terrible
He's thinking
subject.
of his number. He's thinking of his number that he knows, and then he's trying to fluff a bit, you know, maybe a little lower, a little higher. You know, give us a little ballpark.
I can talk on that a little bit, because not that I know his figures, but in America it's much bigger than.
That was actually how I was going to answer. I was going to say, I think sport's kind of weird. Not weird, but it's also new as well, like especially the hard enduro side of things. I think there's more of a standardized thing if you look in terms of like Enduro GP or the JNCC in the US and stuff, whereas like hard enduro really, like, until I would say even like less than 10 years ago, there was only like 1 or 2 riders that were actually professional in it. So it's kind of all in the unknown, really. Like, I would not have a clue even where Manny's numbers were, put it that way. Like, that's how kind of in the dark
Right.
everyone is in terms of the sport. And like, I push and have had to, like, I feel like I've had to work pretty hard. I think if you want to compare it to like a motocross level or definitely like a supercross level, it's kind of incomparable, to be honest. But like, I feel like I've had to fight pretty hard to kind of get even to
Yeah.
the position what I'm in. But again, like, I'm not complaining. I play around on a motorbike
No,
and
for
get
sure.
paid.
Would you say Taddy was probably the originator of maybe being the highest paid off-road guy, you know, because he's kind of the OG now, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Taddy definitely up things. But back then as well, I feel like there was only a couple of them, and it was quite a new time. I think obviously KTM has always been a big supporter of our sport, and I think they really did help the sport progress and also push supported athletes. Definitely, I don't know for sure, but I would say there were bigger deals going around back then. Obviously, we were like had Enduro Cross and X Games and stuff like that. There was definitely an early wave, which the few of the guys rode pretty well, and then there was quite a low point where at one point it was only really KTM that was offering kind of pro rides out. So when there was more riders, kind of more pro riders around, and obviously the kind of the same amount of rides available, it kind of diluted things a lot, and there was a lot of competition. That's why, like, I think it would really, the sport kind of needs manufacturers, and obviously Sherco do make an effort. Triumph obviously came in, you know, supporting Johnny and the Indo stuff. So I think there's like brighter times ahead, but
Yeah.
there was definitely like a low point. And I think, yeah, you know, like from where I started to where I know quite a few of the other guys started, it's definitely wasn't on like didn't start off in the same way, that's for sure.
My first ever contract was with Molson Kawasaki. So I was just like a kid, probably 15. I used to race under 21s. This was like a top team, Molson, in the British Championship. In England, we used to have a lot of teams, like feeder teams, to go the good level in World Championship. Now, that's not the case. As many teams taking riders through to World Championship level. The first year I was racing, I come up from 125s. and we actually had to pay. So my dad paid. It was meant to be 30,000. It was going to cover the mechanic and pay his salary and the team, which was good because we didn't mind paying a salary. But then I started doing really well, and then I think we paid up to 15,000. And then they said, "Look, you're doing really good, so we'll waive that. You can carry on racing." And I was doing really good in British Championships. And then I signed for the team the following year, and I think it was 60,000, and I used to get £100 a point. The
That's
bonuses
good
added up.
motivation. That's
Yeah.
good motivation. £100 a point. You're probably trying to collect as many points as you could.
Yeah, that added up as a
Yeah, I
kid.
bet
Like I
there.
would, because obviously I wasn't winning at that stage. So say if I were at 15-15, that'd be 10 points at a GP, 5 points for a 15th. That's £1,000 I'd go home with. That's a lot of money for a kid.
16.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, but I actually was doing
That's
good.
pretty mad. British. I think that's pretty mad. A British. Well, not satellite team. I guess they were getting help from Kawasaki, but even for a British team to be offering that to like a kid in MX2 or 250s or the lights class or whatever, I think that's even like going by today's standards. I would say we're not
It's
really even
more
close.
than today's standard. Yeah, it's weird. Almost when I was in the 250 class, there was more money floating about for riders mid to front pack than there is nowadays. I think even in any series, you probably go back that time frame, 2006, probably even the same in America. It was a really good team. Like you had Gareth Swanepoel at the time that trained all the
Mhm.
boys in America for Star. You had Tom Church. They put a big effort in that team. And then the following year, I went to Factory KTM, and I think I signed for that, to throw some numbers out there, 120 euro. So, and then it's sort of everything built from there. So it's different bonuses, and how that was structured was just your base salary, and then you got bonuses per round, like
Yep.
any contract now. It may be different in a bit in America, but then it went from there. I'd done 2 years with Factory KTM. All happened quite quick for me. I didn't really understand the sport. So the contracts, it was really needed that I had a manager because my family wasn't from motocross in the slightest. So my dad would have been like, he just couldn't believe it. He was telling me like, you could ride for Factory KTM next year. And I'm just like, stop saying that. Like, don't be stupid. And he was like, well, Jamie said you could if you carry on like you are. And I'm just shouting at him like, don't say that. That's stupid. But it all happened real quick. Before I knew it, I was on Factory KTM. And then everything went quite smoothly for me at a young age. And what
Yep.
about yours, Dean?
Well, to rewind back, my last couple of years, I was on Team Green, Kawasaki as an amateur, and we live in America, and like, you know, my dad did his best, but man, the Kawasaki really looked after me as an amateur. You know, they'd give us 10 bikes, and then like, you know, I never had support like this before. And where we'd make a lot of the money was even just local races that had the Kawasaki contingency. So I could, you know, you'd go online, you'd find a race around when I was in California, and then you would sign up for every class you could. So it'd be like 5 classes, and I think it was $250 to $300 a win. And I would generally win most of all my classes. I really used that money as a kid to get to the races, gas for the motorhome, entry fees, like that really helped me to carry on and continue. I got on my last year as an amateur, I was on Extreme Team Green, which is the next level above, and they had a semi at the races. Dude, it was pretty full on. It was pretty factory. And, you know, I had good bonuses when I won championships, and same thing again, racing at amateur races. The contingency was really good. So as an amateur, I made pretty good money.
What would that be then as an amateur? Because do they still make that now or not?
I think they do have the contingency. I'm not sure if it's still the same. I don't know if it's as much, but those were really good years as an
Yeah, I
amateur. And
remember hearing stories like
like if you
they were
just
big money.
listen to another podcast with Trey Kennard on it, his contract as an amateur was $300,000 with Geico Honda. And
Yeah,
I
that's
was like,
nuts.
300,000 as an amateur. And then he got all the bonuses and stuff on top. When I heard that, I was like, holy moly. My big goal, my life dream was to be on Mitch Payton's team. That he was at the top tier. And I really pushed to get on that. Eventually I got the pro circuit ride, and it was a $75,000 contract. I didn't care. I would have rode for free. I made my dream come true. I remember the day my mom took a picture, funny enough, being a mom, taking a picture of me signing the contract. My first ever pro contract with Mitch Payton was amazing. And so as I was on that team, I did really good my rookie year. I was rookie of the year. I won races, and it
What year
was
was that?
2010.
That's when I
And
used to turn
so,
up to Paris and that and smoke you.
yeah, that's when me and Tommy had a bit of beef back then.
Well,
2009
Times.
for Tommy was a really good year in America. And then 2010, he had a shoulder injury. At least that's what he tells me because I beat him. So,
No, but 2008, I used to come and ride at Parla. I used to come
yeah,
out to
yeah,
pre-season for
with
World
Jamie.
Championships and I'd see you at the tracks.
Yeah, yeah, we'd always see each other. And so, yeah, so my rookie year was good. And then as I was on pro circuit every year, my contract went up and up and up and up. And the bonuses were really good. Like winning a race was 50 grand. And I think it may went back down to 40 grand, but it was 50 grand to win. I remember I got this idea. This is when I was feeling good, remember? This is when I was feeling good. I was like, how cool would it be to win a supercross championship and then go to the GPs and race MX2 and win a world championship? So I was kind of dabbling with that idea, and I spoke with CLS Kawasaki, who Tommy was riding for, I think at the time.
That's in my ride.
I think you were on the 450 at this time.
Oh, okay.
I was really shocked at the bonuses per race in the GPs. I think, Tommy, you would
Yes,
know, but the
more.
bonuses in the GPs was, I want to say it was 12,000 euro for a win.
14 it was at CLS. 14, 7.5, 3, 2, 1, 500 or something.
So I'm thinking, I was not expecting that. I was thinking it'd be the same as America, like $50,000 is a lot of money. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough, as all of us, to just have that opportunity, and I can ride a bike as 11 is pretty cool. So my best year was my first year going to 450 when I was factory KTM. My salary was really good. But the thing that also was really nice was when I got to 450, I could have my own gear deal, helmet deal, um, goggle deal, boot deal. So all of that on top of my salary, we'll just throw a rough number. It was like 1.2 a year, which was really
Oh,
good. But
bloody hell. That's about what similar to Bill's is now.
yeah, I tore my ACL both years, so it didn't, I mean, it was
Oh.
very nice to have that, but that was
Did you
did you
get
probably
come
my
here for
best.
being injured?
I did the first year, yeah. Second year I didn't. First year I did get deducted, which is,
Why did they not deduct your second year?
so I tore my ACL, I think it was fourth round of supercross. And I was in a really dark spot. I got my knee fixed. So I was just like, I struggled bad with anxiety and stuff like that. And I just wanted to get away. So I flew to Australia and I didn't tell anybody. And I just went away for 3 weeks, like just wanted to clear my head. And then I came back, and then I noticed I was getting my pay deducted. And I think KTM wasn't very pleased that I just went to Australia and I wasn't focusing on my rehab, which I was doing my rehab, but I really was just going to clear my head because I just wasn't in a good spot mentally. So the second year, which is weird, I tore my knee like a day before, like almost the exact same date. But this time I really stuck in and did everything. Wasn't getting deducted, so I did everything I could to not get deducted. Most teams genuinely don't deduct you if you're doing everything you're supposed to do and you're doing everything you can to be back on the track. They genuinely don't deduct you. I've been injured plenty of times. Some are very sticky with their contract, and doesn't matter who you are, they'll deduct you if you miss a certain amount of races.
Got really good on the contract deductions on CLS when I went in Thailand and the bike blew up over the jump, or it didn't blow up. We had fuel problems, probably 70% of riders, or maybe I don't know how many percent, but a fair few riders were having problems with the pool. The fuel was overheating. So then the bike was like, would cut out a little bit. Mine cut out on the face of the biggest jump on the track. Massive crash, broke my wrist, smashed the bike to bits, like broken full. It was a really big jump, like probably one of the biggest jumps I've ever seen on a motocross track, and it happened to break on that one. But we got to the end of the year and they cut my wage at the end of the year. I think it was like 30% of the salary. Sent like a court letter. This is the reason you didn't finish the races. Basically really, really screwed me over. Like sort of thought I was friends with this team. They got a lawyer involved. And then I guess, I don't know, maybe they had money troubles. And that was my biggest contract of my career. So big cut for something that was
Yeah.
completely out of my control.
Yeah. And then, probably some people don't even know, but from what I hear, that's why Hurlings came back so early this year. And people are like, why is he riding around in 10th? And he rode around in 10th and 9th and
Would have
sometimes
been, yeah.
12th for quite a few rounds. And because he came back so early, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he had to be back. I couldn't miss a certain amount of races. So he just came back and he raced that sand race and he led and did the fastest lap time and then went back. He rode like one day before the GP. And that was, I think, just because his contract, he couldn't miss so many races. And then obviously he got back to prime form and it was really cool to see him back winning.
What about you, Bill?
In terms of what?
In cut or not? You've rode for the same team the whole time.
I won the outdoor championship and then broke my leg like 2 weeks after. Like, I've always kind of had a championship fresh in the memory. So no, from Husky's side, they've been really, really good, to be honest.
How did you ever get your first sponsors?
Everything obviously happened really fast for me in Enduro. Obviously, started riding and then went to a few races and stuff. And then I did really good at Erzberg my first year, which is obviously like the biggest race of the year for us. It has like the whole industry watches. So I did really good there. And what my team manager told me a few years later was, so I was already quite high on the radar of KTM Husky at that point. And then we had a press day, which is basically we just play around on the prologue track of Romania. It's like a man-made track in the city. And there was like 10 logs in a row. And I remember I kept going through them on the back wheel, like wheeling from one to the next. And
Little show pony.
yeah, literally. And the team manager said like, oh, you were obviously had done a very good result at Erzberg to get on the radar. But like that was when he seen that in real life, he was like, that's what sealed the deal. And I didn't even finish the race that week. I had a lot of problems. Like you could do a whole episode on my first ever Romaniacs, but just, being there. And that's one thing I do say when kids like ask us or parents ask us, I'm like, you just put your best foot forward at every opportunity. It might not even be in the race. The man was literally on a press day with the cameras were there. People were watching. Obviously all the big riders were there. So the cameras were there for them. And then there's this big 19-year-old that no one's ever heard of that's wheeling across 10 logs in a row. Like it did enough. So
I find it is hard as a kid to get sponsors. As you grow up, it's easier to relate to sponsors.
yeah, that's also true. And I feel like as kids you don't know a lot, right? You think you know everything because you can do a big whip. Realistically, when you grow up, you realize there's like so much more into it. The conversation that you have when you first meet someone has a lot more of an impact than you realize. And like, I think a lot of it generally is just being in the right place at the right time. Now I think it's even harder. Like everyone's got an Instagram account. It's very easy to kind of, I almost feel like, go viral and get a lot of views and stuff these days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, this was early 2000s, my biggest advice is just shoot your shot, right? Like if you see someone, go introduce yourself, shake their hand, whatever. But when I was a kid, I would make this letter and I would email and I would copy and paste it, but I would change the two, it would be like, make it 2 M2R helmets. And then it'd be this big, like me and my mom would go through this letter and then I would just go through every brand, 10 helmets, whatever, M2R, Arai, whatever, trying to get a helmet deal. So I'd email everyone the exact same email, but just change the headline. And then I'll do that with
M2R
gear
the
brands.
only one that emailed you back? Because that's
I'm telling you, I was an M2R kid from like
I remember
2003. I was rocking that helmet. They would send me stacks of helmet, and it was so exciting as a kid when they would email back, and then they'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna give you 2-3 helmets for the year." And I'm like, I was like a little agent myself, and being a kid and learning how to do that, it does, educate you and teach you. I remember like my mom and dad used to always like make me call my sponsors, and I hated it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what it would be for, but
Sunday night after the competition, he'd be like, you got to phone such and such, and I'm like,
oh yeah. And then we used to do like, it was the worst. But if I was a sponsor and I had this little 65 kid call me or whatever, I would love that. And then we used to do these little race reports after the races. My mom used to type up the Wilson race report, and it was a lot different back then. Like you said, there was no social media and stuff like that, but I just think don't be shy to shoot your shot. I even got myself a DC shoes sponsorship, which I was over the moon. I was getting boxes of DC shoes, had a DC sticker on the helmet. I felt like the boy because that's when DC was, the chunky shoes. That was that was pretty cool.
I think one thing people don't realize is kind of how much expense actually goes on as well. I mean, I guess you two guys, I know I've had trainers in the past, and then just day to day in terms of training and travel and getting to, well, a lot of teams include travel in the races, but I have to pay my own travel. So, yeah, what's been anything in particular that's really stung or been difficult to pay, or just something that would kind of probably surprise people about how much things do cost?
I would say in America, everything seems to cost more, and the amount they pay trainers seems bonkers to me. Dean's had his fair share. I'm sure he can jump in a minute. But then to race MXGP, we sort of go Spain or Sardinia, and then we all pay that. It's very rare that the team will pay that. It's almost weird in our sport, especially in Europe. You get paid a salary. I remember when I was making decent money from, say, CLS, and I'm explaining this to someone before, and they couldn't believe it, that you just get left to your own devices. Like they literally say, like, see you at round one. And they're just sort of hoping you turn up 3 months later, ready to go win the race. I went to Spain, you got the expenses there. I paid a trainer in England, Kirk, that always paid, but the money difference that a trainer in the UK costs to America is literally absolutely insane. But it just adds up. Travel obviously ends up about $1,000 a GP,
Did
which
you
is
ever
20
get per
GPs
diem,
now.
Tommy?
Yeah, you did. But again, that always comes back to how you do your contract, doesn't it? 1 year I
Right.
did. Yeah, it's the sort of thing you do here when you're trying to bump up your contract and they don't want to pay you more. And you're like, well, what about if I get 500 quid a race? And they're like, yeah, we can do that.
That's actually quite funny. Going back to that first contract I signed, I just assumed that I would get my expenses paid to get to the races. Definitely should have probably read it a bit closer and inspected it a bit more. But I remember I went in I actually drove to the first round that I ever did for Husky. So I was like, oh, I'll sort this out. I'll claim it back afterwards. I'll just put my fuel receipts in or whatever. That's fine. And then the next round, I was in Italy and I saw a message like the team coordinator. I was like, oh, what happens with flights? Do I book them or do you book them? And then she just replied saying, no, you're responsible for your own travel to get to the race on this day. I was like, all right. So of that, 28 grand, that covers the whole year. It covers training expenses and getting to 10 races as well. That's not going to go very far. But yeah, I had absolutely no idea until this team coordinator broke the news like 2 months into the year. Lesson learned.
What about you, Dean? Obviously in America, it's big. You pay a lot for a lot of things. Like I'm also mind blown that someone even at your age, you still, up until the last couple of years, still pay that money out just to basically tick the boxes and peace of mind. I guess you want to prove to the teams that you're working hard.
Yeah, I mean, expenses can get expensive. We've been pretty lucky as we're on the topic of per diem. I've always gotten either $1,000 to $1,500 per weekend just for travel, rental car, hotel, and then other expenses that we have is usually a trainer expense, which that's usually the big one. For my level, like I know some of the more top level guys pay a lot more. There was a time where they were paying $100,000 or more for their trainer. The most I paid was $40,000. And the thing about it is the teams, you're their investment, right? So when I was at Baker's factory, they like to see everything that's going on. So they want to see that their investment's doing everything that he can to be the best he can. So I kind of understand that point where Tommy just says, like his team just says, yeah, here's all your stuff. We'll see you at round one. So they're really relying on the rider, which that's cool also. But sometimes they can hire a rider and pay him a bunch of money. And then he's just lazy and not doing his job as well. So I kind of understand, both sides, but $40,000 was the most I paid for a trainer. I've done that multiple years. But the most was when I also had a practice mechanic. Well, guys have quite a lot of expenses when it comes to like a Roxon or whoever. They have a trainer, a practice mechanic, a bus driver, maybe a nutritionist. There's quite a few things that they pay that adds up. But at the end of the day, when you're making a certain amount of money, you do need tax write-offs. Sometimes you have to spend the money and you're investing in your career. I remember when I won my championship in 2011, I made quite a lot of money that year. And my bookkeeper, the lady that does all my books and my taxis and everything, she's like, you need to spend money or you're just going to get a lot to taxis. So we bought like a pretty big, nice motorhome. You buy a motorhome, you need to have a driver and stuff like that.
So what did you spend it on? What was the most stupidest thing you spent your money on?
I've been pretty smart with my money, honestly. I've never really made any crazy purchases. I've been pretty smart with my money, as you have, Tommy. You have some rental properties and stuff like that. You know, we only have a window of making the money that we do, and me and Tommy are almost climbing out of that window. We're hanging on by a thread. So it's very important
Close.
for us to be very smart with our money. You know, you don't want to be a guy at the end of his career that just wasted all his money. And my mom was very good with me with my money. I've got, you know, good investments and things like that. So it's really important to surround yourself with good, smart people. So Tom, have you made any extravagant purchases throughout your career? I know you've always had some nice cars, some nice houses.
I don't know. At one stage, I bought a Bugatti.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't really. I'm similar to you. There's nothing I literally could say that I've wasted the money on. It's a fine balance. Like, if you look at our career and you think it's nice to spend some things on some nice things when you're young, because we're all getting older. I had a car like when I was 22, nothing special, like an Audi A5, not even the S5. I just put some wheels on it to make it look like an S5. But it was almost at the time where you've sort of got to feel good about yourself, like you're doing quite well, you're getting older.
I'm actually well younger than you two anyway, so please don't put us all under the same umbrella.
But it comes around quick, mate. Comes around quick.
Belly, the hair's getting thin on top there, pal.
My
You
hair's
may
been
be
gone a
younger, but
while,
the
so
hair's
that's
still
just
thin on
change the
Too
subject.
far, thing. Too far.
That's going to be my wild purchase one day, when I'm just going to turn up with a fresh head.
I'll go with you. We're going to go to Turkey together, mate.
I've got a
2-for-1.
race in Turkey in 3 weeks' time. Come and watch me. We'll go a week after.
Come back with a new hairline.
I don't know whether it's getting better in motocross for money in the UK. I think it's almost getting harder, not better. Like, I took my little boy riding to a race, and there's so many good young kids. Very, very top is not that many. So I'm not sure it's getting better anytime soon. In America, is it similar, or in Enduro, is it similar to that? Or because that's what I see in motocross at the minute.
The guys at the top level are making unreal money. But as far as the guys are a little bit down, I say they're still making pretty decent money. Like, for instance, the SMX rounds, like that's really good money for 3 weeks. You look at guys like Danger Boy, he's winning a lot. He's flashy. He's got the watches. He's got the necklaces. He's got the cars. Same as Jet, you know, he's obviously dominating, making crazy money, big contracts. I think Jet got the biggest contract ever. Don't quote me, but what they're saying, like 22 million over 5 years. So it's hard to say, but like I do think the money over here is pretty good. Even if you're, you know, from 8th to 20th, I still think you can make a pretty decent living.
It's like there's actually a lot more kids doing Enduro now than I feel like there ever has been. I've got a younger sister, and I see like the events that she's at and stuff, and there's like big groups of kids that are doing it. Because that's one thing I feel like there's been a real big gap in talent, because typically in the past the sport was kind of full of trials riders that were retired and stuff like that, whereas now it's like the first generation of riders that have really come and just rode Enduro and hard Enduro. So it's like
I
we're in a
think
bit of
that's
a
from you
gap
though.
at the minute.
Like, you've had that impact.
Yeah, I think I definitely have played a role in it, which I think if it means, you know, there's going to be, I don't know, I think it's almost hard, because when there's so few manufacturers and teams about, you're almost thinking like, is there any point in all these kids, you know, developing and progressing? But I think you've got to have hope that the sport heads in the right direction. Like, you can definitely, you've got more chance of making a living riding a bike from not just results these days than you probably had 10 years ago. I think that's across all disciplines.
Yeah, and the other thing, Belly, I noticed with your super enduros, they're fully sold out. Like Poland, all these places, like the stadiums are packed. So, and
Yeah.
even when I watch videos on YouTube of just random off-road videos of your races, like they always have a lot of views and stuff. So you have a big, you know, reach on the off-road side as well, I feel like.
Yeah, and like, even that's the thing, the events are so well attended, and even like the riders' followings, like if you look on social followings from like the top 5 or top 10 hard enduro riders, it's generally really impressive. Like, compare that to even, I would say, world motocross level. The sport's so new, and it's also has never really been under kind of one roof or been structured around this kind of like pro setup, which is why I think it's in such a strange time. Like I say, the numbers at events are there, the numbers on the social stuff's there. It just really needs kind of commercialized properly, which again is not an easy job, but I think there's hope that over the next couple of years it can get better.
Where I think we're in a good spot is that to make pretty good money as a racer here, we have a lot of options. You know, we have US Supercross, Motocross. We have World Supercross now in the mix, which is paying really good money. We have Australia Supercross. We have the UK Arena Cross. Like, there's so many. I go to Brazil and race. There's a lot of opportunities, you know what I mean, for a lot of riders. So I think that's a good thing for sure.
I think we can wrap it up. Episode 2 of Against the Rut. Really enjoyed it, actually. If you've got something you want us to chat about in the next episodes, drop it in the comment, like, subscribe. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Dean. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
See you in a bit.